Good afternoon, taxpayers. Welcome to the today's training, and our today training is on turnover tax. So we are just waiting for a few moments so that we can allow other taxpayers to attend so that the session might comment. And our presenter today will be Corazon Aquino, will be presenting today through on turnover tax. So let us just give him 5 minutes so that we can start the session. Welcome once again. So just please confirm to me if I'm audible enough through the chat box. So if you can hear me, just confirm to me through the chat box. And any question that you'll be having, we'll be attending it after the session. So you'll be channeling the question through the chat box, but the presenter will be handling them after the training. Welcome once again, our dear taxpayers. So I'm going to invite Miss Corazon. So Miss Corazon, can you hear me wherever you are?
Good afternoon, Dismas. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you so much. Yes, so maybe we can proceed with the session.
Yeah, we can proceed.
So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome once again to our session for today. So today we'll be talking about turnover tax, and we'll be, Dismas says you can confirm, do I have echo on my end? Or maybe I can resolve the issue? Okay, thank you. So welcome to our presentation today. So our focus for today will be learning more about turnover tax. Feel free to ask any question on the chat box. We look forward to really engaging with you and just learning more and be able to demystify this particular tax head that we have today. So today we'll just want to let you know what turnover tax is, so be able to help you to understand what turnover tax is, so that you can have an appreciation of where KRA is coming from and how we can be able to assist you in future. So turnover tax is a charge that is charged on gross sales. So for example, if the business, you have a business today and that business made 24,000 tax month turnover tax, we will take the 24,000 as your sales. And the person who's supposed to pay turnover tax is any Kenyan resident who earns a gross turnover of between 1 million but less than 50 million in any given year. So if you are earning anything between 1 million and less than 50 million, you are eligible for this particular tax that we call turnover tax. And this was introduced in the Finance Act 2006. But then during that time, okay, there's a complaint that you cannot hear anything. So let me just. So Dismas, if you can kindly just confirm.
Yes, you are audible now.
I'm audible. Okay.
Yeah, you are audible.
Dismas for confirming that. So yeah. Yes, so back in 2006, the Finance Act 2006 introduced this particular tax. It was repealed briefly, and at that particular time, we introduced a tax called presumptive income tax. But as of 2019, we introduced back the turnover tax, which was effective on 1st of January of 2020. So what rate is turnover tax? So turnover tax is charged at the rate of 1%. And we've said it's 1% on the gross sales that you've made. So if you've made 50,000 in a month, we will take in the 50,000 as your sale, and 1% of it will be charged as your turnover tax. If you've made 2 million, that is what we'll take. 1% of it is what we'll take in as your turnover tax. I'd like to stress this, that when it comes to turnover tax, expenses are not deductible. For those of you who are familiar with the other types of taxes, the rate is you're usually allowed to remove any expenses that can be directly attributed to that particular business. But when it comes to turnover tax, you are not allowed to deduct any expenses. And the reason is simple. the rate is very minimal. It's 1%. While other taxes like monthly rental income can have 10%, and the others starts from 10 all the way through to 30. For turnover tax, it is just a simple 1% of the gross sales that you've made, and this tax is final. Once you pay turnover tax, you'll not be expected to pay any other tax. And the reason why we have this particular tax is so that we can make it easy for the startups and those businesses that are coming up, just to be able to pay their fair share of taxes and to be able to account for the taxes in the simplest way possible. So then when is turnover tax due? So the due date for turnover tax is the 20th day of the following month. So for example, if I made sales this month, I'm going to account for it the next month. So we give you a period of 20 days for you to be able to finalize the payments that maybe you're receiving and everything in relation to that particular month, and make the payments by 20th of the following month. Turnover tax is a monthly tax, meaning every month we'll expect you to pay your 1%. Can you hear me? Because I can see comments from the chat that you've lost me. Miss Massive, you can confirm?
You are audible.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So turnover tax is, like we say, is a monthly tax, and this means that every month we'll expect you to account for the sales that you've made at the rate of 5. Patrick, for confirming that you can hear me. So what is the due date for filing turnover tax? The due date for filing and paying the turnover tax is the 20th of the following month. So it's not just a matter of filing. You also need to make sure that you pay by 20th of the following month. So we have exemptions. Remember, we always say this over and over. One of the key principles of taxation is fairness. We want to be able to be fair for everyone. So for that particular reason, we have some exemptions when it comes to turnover tax. So any person who is earning more than 50 million and above in a given year of income, this particular person is exempt from the turnover tax obligation. It also happens that any person earning below 1 million also is exempt from this particular turnover tax. And this is just so that we'll be able to cater for those of us who are earning below the tax bracket, that is 24,000 per month. So anyone who's outside this bracket of 1 million to 50 million should not register for, is exempted from paying turnover tax. If you are receiving rental income, so if you're receiving rental income, you are exempt from registering from turnover tax. And this is just for simple reasons. For rental income, they have their special tax that they pay that we call the monthly rental income, which has a different rate. If your business is involves management or professional or training fee, you are also exempt from paying taxes. And then any income that is subject to a final withholding tax. Remember, we've just said that turnover tax is final, meaning if you pay, that's it, you'll not be expected to pay any tax. But when it comes to this particular incomes that you're talking about, management, professional, or any other income that is subject to withholding, it means that you will be expected to claim that withholding tax that has been withheld. And if you register for a turnover tax, then it will be unfair to you. Point to note that if you are eligible, if you find yourself you're within this threshold, the 1 million to 50 million threshold of turnover tax, you may opt not to be under this tax, but this has to be done by writing to the commissioner of domestic taxes. You just have to tell the commissioner, yes, I'm eligible, I'm in this particular bracket, but I wish not to be in this particular tax obligation and maybe remain in the annual regime, and give the reasons why you prefer the same. So once this is done, the commissioner is going to give approval or whether or not you should be in this particular tax head. So that is just a point for us to note as taxpayers, so that at least if you're in this threshold and you've not yet maybe reached out to your account manager, please just make a point of doing so that you can be guided accordingly. So how do you file your turnover tax return? There are three options that you can use to file a turnover tax return. And the reason why we have this wide range of options on how you can file your tax return is because it's a highly simplified way of complying with your taxes. Highly simplified. And by that, what do I mean? First, you have an option to use our USSD code. And our USSD code is *572#. *572#. And all you need, all the system will ask you is you put in your ID number. It's going to prompt you and ask you which return do you want to file. You say you want to file a turnover tax return. And then it will ask you for the amount and automatically just give you a prompt to make the payments through M-Pesa. So it is that easy for you to be able to file your tax return. Option number 2, you can file using our M-Service app. We have an app called the M-Service app. You can download it. And again, this process is simple. Once you just get into our app, you'll be able to see how you'll be able to utilize the app to file this return. I'd encourage our listeners, just go through our TikTok page. You'll be able to find the step-by-step on how you can use the USSD to be able to file your return, and also how you can be able to use the M-Service app to file your returns. So now I'll come to my third option. My third option is filing through the internet. So if you want to file through the internet, you have access to internet. All you need to do is to log into our iTax page. That is www.itax.kra.go.ke. And under the return option, you're going to choose the obligation, and the obligation will be turnover tax return in this particular case. And then what you will do after that is just put in your gross amount, and then the system will calculate how much you're supposed to file, and you just complete the return and submit. It is just that simple. So what is key when it comes to turnover tax return is the gross amount that you've paid. Unlike any other, do not ask for much. The system will not ask you for much. It will only ask you for what was your gross turnover for that particular month. So after filing the return, you can go to the payment menu and select payments, and then select the amount payable, and you'll generate an e-slip. Again, step by step on how you can available on our TikTok page, that is under tax education, so that at least you'll be able to follow the steps and complete your return. And then you have two options of paying. If you want, you can pay through to the mobile money, or you can make the payment to a bank of your choice. So we have a wide range of banks that you can choose. Even I'm sure the one that you're banking with, all you need to do is to print out the payment slip that the system will generate for you, 2 copies, and take it to the bank, and you'll be able to make your payments and complete the process. So what are the penalties? Remember, given how easy turnover tax is for you to comply with, we encourage you to avoid these unnecessary penalties that may come about. So what then becomes the penalties for non-compliance? One, late filing penalty. So if we said that you're expected to file and pay by 20th of the next month. So come midnight of 20th and you're going to 21st, if you have not yet filed your return, automatically the system is going to give you a penalty of 1,000 per month. So please, we encourage you, avoid this penalty given how easy it is to file this return. Again, we have something we call late payment penalty, which is 5% of the tax that is due. So I can give an example so that you can be able to differentiate the two. So I filed my return on 1st of November. My October return, I filed it on 1st of November. But when I filed my return, I forgot to make payment for the same. Maybe I said I will make payment later. So you forget until 20th of November passes and you've not yet made the payment. So come 21st of November, you'll get a late payment penalty, which is 5% of that tax that is due. Please, we encourage you, avoid the interest, avoid the penalties that usually come for failure of us just not making payments for our taxes. It goes further. If you do not make the payment in November and it skips and goes to the next month, maybe now it's December, you've not yet made payments, what the system will do, it will give an interest of unpaid tax, which is 1% of the principal tax that is due. So the 1% of the tax that is due will keep on going up as long as that particular tax remains unpaid. So for me, my advice to you, our dear listeners, we just urge you, please just make sure you file your returns on time, declare truthful information in your return, make the payments on time so that we avoid finding ourselves in these particular situations from time to time. So what are some of the emerging issues that we have when it comes to turnover tax? So initially, the turnover tax rate was 3%. So we have, as of 2020, the rate was removed from 3% down to 1%. And we appreciate our taxpayers for just honoring this and making this a possibility. So the removal of the requirement to pay presumptive tax, we said in 2017, we were paying presumptive tax, but once turnover tax was introduced, you are no longer required to pay presumptive tax for businesses that fall in the turnover tax bracket. So another thing that we've introduced, and this was based on the feedback that we've been receiving from sessions like the one that you're currently having, and the training sessions that we were having during this particular time, we increased the turnover tax threshold for businesses with turnover of between 1 million and shilling 50 million. Initially, this turnover tax you were expected to pay for businesses with a turnover of between 500,000 to 5 million. So we have just increased this threshold so that at least you'll be able to have an option to pay this and file your return as easily as possible. Another thing that we're happy to say is that we reduced the penalty for Kenya charge 100,000 just so that encourage you to pay without the taxpayers feeling as if we are being punitive. Again, from the feedback that we received from the floor from time to time was if we could be able to incorporate other entities other than sole proprietor. So that one also is currently taking place. So a company, a limited company, a partnership, a sole proprietor, all these businesses are allowed to register for turnover tax and make payments for the same. So those are the major emerging issues and the new issues that have come with the new laws that are guiding turnover tax. so that if you can just appreciate where we are coming from and where we are right now. So if you know businesses out there, just encourage them to register for tax because it's easy, and the threshold has been increased just so that you could be able to accommodate more people. So I'm going to talk about integrity and access to information. This is a key thing that we always strive to talk about in all our sessions. So we'll talk about it, and we are also going to talk about voluntary tax disclosure program. So allow me to first of all start with the voluntary tax disclosure program and what it is about. So as KRA, we value the feedback that you give us, and one of the feedback that we've received over the years was if we can give amnesties for penalties and interest that have been accrued over the years. And from the feedback that we received, that is where the voluntary tax disclosure program was born. And it's because we believe in second chances. So this is a second chance that we urge all of you to take advantage of, so that at least you'll be able to benefit from this particular program. So what is this voluntary tax disclosure program? Voluntary tax disclosure program is a confidential program where we give you, our customer, an opportunity to disclose tax liabilities that were previously undisclosed to the commissioner. And by this, we'll say sometimes, because not so many people understand their obligations, some may have not declared some of their taxes before and their tax liabilities. So what this program does is we give you, if you disclose those tax liabilities that you had not disclosed before, we will grant you relief of the penalties and the interest that have accrued. You see the 1% that you're talking about, the 5% that you're talking about, if over the years you did not know this and you've accrued and here you find yourself, this is your chance to be able to just make everything right. So this program has been open for a period of 3 years. And I say it has been open for a period of 3 years because it started last year. It came into effect last year, 1st of January 2021, and it's going to run for 3 years. That is, it will be ending next year, December. That is 2023, December 31st. So so what liabilities are we looking at? We are looking at liabilities that run up to 5 years prior. So that is prior to 1st of July 2020. So anything prior to 1st of July 2020, so between 2015 and 2020 thereabout, those are the liabilities that you're looking into, and we're encouraging you, if in case you missed anything, this is an opportunity for you to take advantage and just declare the same. So what happens in this particular program? For those who took advantage of this program last year, they received 100% remission on the interest and penalties. So if you took advantage of this, you knew about it, you made the difference, and then you paid for it, those who did this, 100% of the interest and the penalties that they were charged were waived. So for those of you who are hearing this for today or are hearing this for the first time, we encourage you to still take advantage of it, because this being the second year, what is on the table for you is 50%. 50% of the interest and the penalties that is owed will be waived. But remember, how many days are we? We are some few days shy of 2023. So you only have up to 31st of December to be able to get this, to get advantage of the 50% remission. For those of you who will take advantage next year, which is the final year of this particular program, what will be on the table for you will be 25% of the interest and the penalties that will be accrued. So we encourage you as much as possible to please kindly just take advantage of this, so that at least you'll be able to be cushioned from the burden of penalties and interest. However, we have exemptions to this. So any taxpayer who is under investigation, under audit, or you are under investigation or are party to an ongoing case that is involving tax liability is not eligible to is not. This one will also apply. This one will, if you've been notified of a pending audit by the commissioner. So these people in these three categories may not enjoy the tax liability. So please, we encourage you as much as possible before you find yourself under these particular categories, come and take advantage of this so that you can enjoy the benefits that comes with this particular program. So we spoke about integrity and access to information, and I'm just going to take us through what it is that KRA has put in place, just so that we may be able to assist you as our customers and grow our country together when it comes to integrity. So we have, as KRA, we have put in place several measures to address corruption, and one is automation of KRA functions. So we've automated all our functions. I've just spoken about iTax. I've spoken about the USSD code, the M-Service app that we have. Amongst this, we have systems for customs, that is ICMS, the RECTS, the one-stop border points. All these systems have been put in place not only to enhance trade facilitation and help you, empower you to file, but just to reduce the human interaction. Another thing that we have is we have a taxpayers charter that spells out your rights and obligations of you as a taxpayers. On top of it, we've established an ISO department, and this department, its main role is overseeing the integrity in KRA. And some of the examples of what they do, they check the lifestyle audits of the staff, they vet, they investigate staff on issues around tax evasion. Another thing that we've put in place, training of taxpayers and the general public on integrity, which is what we are currently doing, just so that at least you'll be able to be in the know. And then investigation of staff and tax evaders. Remember, it takes two to tango. So staff and also tax evaders, and enforcement of KRA code of conduct. We have a robust KRA anti-corruption gift and whistleblower policy that is in place, just to ensure that we adhere to the rules and regulations as stipulated. We also have a corruption reporting mechanism. We have a corruption reporting mechanism, and the mechanisms that we have put in place. If you want to walk in and just talk to someone face to face, you can visit our Time Stars office on 26th floor. You will find a team that is ready to hear you out and be able to guide you on the same. We have a hotline number, which is 0726 984 668, that you can just call and be able to report any form of corruption. We have an email address that is corruptionreporting@kra.go.ke. We also have a complaints and information center that is cic@kra.go.ke. We encourage you to even write letters to a Commissioner General. You can be rest assured that he'll be able to get that information, and the information will be addressed accordingly. We've also thrown in an informal reward system. And what happens in the informal reward system is KRA pays 5% of the taxes recovered from the information that is given by the informers, up to a maximum of Kenya shillings 5 million. So these are just measures that you're putting in place to be able to address corruption in KRA and be able to build our country together. So I'd like to speak about the iWhistle program, which I've just spoken about. And the iWhistle program gives you an opportunity to just report corruption if you want to do it anonymously. And it is accessible to any member of the public. All you need to do is to access our portal via iwhistle.kra.go.ke and just click on report now. If you click on the report now, it's going to give you an option and guidelines on how you can report that particular case. Another issue that we have when it comes to iWhistle, which we'd like to bring to your attention, is what is it that you can report under iWhistle? One, you can report cases of tax evasion, you can report cases of bribery, you can report cases of fraud, you can report cases of conflict of interest, you can report cases of abuse of office, you can report cases of concealment and cases of diversion of goods. All these are a list of issues that you are allowed as our dear taxpayer to be able to report if it's brought to your attention, so that at least KRA will be able to address the same. So what do you need to provide when making a report on iWhistle? One, you can give financial records, profit and loss or audited accounts. You can give bank statements if you have. You can have bank details, pay bill details, till numbers. Maybe this could be a case of tax evasion. You can even give a PIN number or location of the business or the offender, because it's two ways. It could be a staff, it could be a business. We encourage you to just give us the location of where you've gathered the information, mobile contacts of the violators. This is also information that you can offer through the iWhistle portal. We've spoken about the redress mechanism that we've put in place, just so that you'll be able to share out your complaints. If you want to do it on email, it's cic@kra.go.ke. We've spoken about corruption reporting at kra.go.ke, and we've shown you our location, that is 26th floor at Times Towers. If you want to write a letter, just write it to Commissioner General, Complaints and Information Center, Kenya Revenue Authority, and the PO box number is 48240, and the zip code is 00100 Nairobi. We have additional numbers that you can call. One is 0726 984 668 or 0709 017 700 or 0709 017 800. The toll-free number is 0800 721 888. That is the toll-free number. For web-based anonymous reporting, we've just taken you through how you can do it through the iWhistle portal. So if you want to reach us, or if you have any additional information and clarity that you want, you can reach us through the contacts that we've just displayed. So I'm just going to stop sharing and quickly go to the chat to see if there's any question that you would like us to address in regards to the session that we've just had today. So I cannot see if there's any question on the chat box. There's one. So there's a question from Zachariah. So you're asking, greetings, if a private limited company is a VAT registered and registered for TOT, will it pay income tax company? And secondly, can a private limited company cancel VAT and register for the TOT if the turnover is less than 5 million? My advice to you will always, especially for the last question, if I can start with, whether you want to deregister if you're having a turnover of less than 5 million. The first advice I'll give is interrogate the kind of business that you do and ask yourself if the business that you're doing, you find yourself trading or part of what you buy is usually charged VAT on it. So you find that in my daily life of trading, there's a lot of products that I buy that have VAT on it. I can advise you to reconsider because VAT is input output. So what I mean by this is any input that you incur when you're buying the products, you are allowed legally by law from any VAT that you charge when you're selling out your product. So I'll strongly ask, just interrogate before you make the choice of deregistering from VAT. But if you feel that you want to deregister for VAT, yes, you are allowed to apply for the registration of the VAT. Of course, the only thing you'll be expected to do is to make sure that you've filed all your returns on time, make all the payments that is due, and apply for the registration on via iTax, and then just wait for feedback from KRA on whether or not that PIN has been deregistered. So until you get that confirmation that you've been registered for VAT, we encourage you to continue just filing your VAT return. So if a private limited company is VAT registered and registered for TOT, will it pay income tax? Will it also pay income tax? We say that TOT is final, but you see, when it comes to VAT, VAT is not final. So my advice again to you will be, you remember I gave a rider when I was taking you through turnover tax, and I said, if you want to opt out of turnover tax, all you need to do is to be able to just to reach out to the commissioner. And by the commissioner, it doesn't necessarily have to be the commissioner of domestic taxes herself. All you need to do is to visit the nearest tax service office around you and just make that application, so that at least you will either have the tort removed from you, so that at least you're just left with accounting for the income tax company return and the VAT return only. So I'll encourage you, reach out, visit us, so that at least we'll be able to find a way of assisting you, so that we can ease the burden of compliance to you. So so there's a question. I hope I can be heard. There's a question. Kindly, who should pay tort? I came late. So Peter, what we said is, if you find yourself between the threshold of 1 million and 50 million Kenya shillings, then you are a proud eligible business to be registered for TOT. Yeah. So, but if you feel that you want to opt out from this and you're within this threshold, we encourage you to just visit your nearest tax service office and be able to just make an application, so that you can opt out of the turnover tax. And this came in we just say of January of 2020. So I hope that is so ideally, so there's a question: if I'm paying for VAT, do I also have to pay TOT? This is a question that keeps coming, and this is why I will still encourage us to take the option of opting out, because as long as the law is concerned, if you're within this threshold, then we expect you to register for TOT. So if you're not registered for TOT, you're just registered for VAT, and you pay your income tax, all that I'm encouraging us to do is, please inform your account manager, so that at least the account manager will be able to guide you and on how you'll only be expected to pay for VAT and income tax, so that you avoid paying for the turnover tax. Please, this is all, it all comes down to how you will inform the commissioner, as we've stated, the commissioner in quotes, and I've just mentioned that the commissioner is your account manager or a KRA personnel in your nearest tax service office who will be able to assist so that you are relieved from this particular obligation. So if you've not done so, I encourage you, please, let's find time and visit the tax service office, engage our account managers so that we'll be able to be assisted to avoid finding ourselves in any issues. Yes, yeah, again, the issue of compulsory, the issue of tort, if you're doing that, is coming out many times. So please, it is important for you, as I've just stated in the law, it is important for you to just inform your account manager so that you can officially be removed from the obligation to account for TOT as well. We said, someone has just asked what is TOT, and we said TOT is turnover tax, and it's charged at a rate of 1%, and 1% is 1% of the gross pay that you receive. So there's a question here: an organization with income tax exemption that needs to receive wheelchairs outside the country. Okay, the question is hanging. I think you did not complete the question. Let me see the question. That particular question was hanging, just ended at that. So there's another question where we are being asked, do I have to register for turnover tax? You should only register for turnover tax if you fall within that particular threshold. And if we had given out a list of exemptions, people who are exempt, if you're having income from monthly residential income, you can't register for turnover. If you're an employee, you can't register for turnover tax. If you are having any income that is subject to withholding tax, you cannot register for turnover tax. So we had a list of exemptions that we had put out there so that at least you'll be able to find a place where you are not allowed to register for TOT. So even for those who have companies, that can be your guideline, because if you're having any income that is subject to withholding tax, then automatically by law you are exempt from registering for turnover tax. So what happens to the 3% withholding tax on income? So we said if and the reason I'll keep repeating this again and again, I said when it comes to turnover tax, the tax is final. So for that particular, but anyone who will be any income that is anyone who holds at 3%, you are exempt from registering from turnover tax. Because remember, we need to be fair. We need to be fair to each and every business. So here you are already, you've had 3% withheld somewhere. So for that particular reason, we need to be able to give you room for you to be able to claim this tax that was already withheld prior. So I'll stress this again and again and again. If you have income that is subject to withholding tax, you are exempt from paying turnover tax. And this is for the simple reason so that we can allow you, when you're filing your tax return, remember, we always say that withholding tax is like just tax that has been paid in advance. So what happens when you'll be paying for when you'll be filing your return at the end of the year, we'll give you an option to include the tax that was withheld. So that, for example, if I paid, at the end of the year, I'm supposed to pay 10,000. But if I look at my withholding, the withholding was 2,000. I'll just take the 10,000 that I'm supposed to pay minus the 2,000, which was already withheld, and I pay the difference, which is 8,000. So there is no double taxation, and it's just tax paid in advance. I hope that is clear, Robert. So let me see if there is any other question that I've left out. So what if by the end of the year I realize that the total turnover for the year is either below 1 million or above 50 million? So what happens in this case? But usually with turnover tax, you have to complete 1 year. So come 1 year and you realize that this is where you are at, we give you an option to deregister from the turnover tax and move to the appropriate tax. Maybe now you'll move from turnover tax and go to the annual regime, which is income tax that you'll now expect you to file yearly. If you find yourself you are below 1M and you're sure that even the next consequence years you'll be at 1M, we also allow you at the end of the year. It has to be at the end of the year because turnover tax, you have to complete 1 full year. At the end of the year, come 31st December, and you want to opt out of this, all you need to do is make sure that all your payments are made, all your tax returns are filed and applied to be deregistered, so that at least you can be moved to the income tax option. So we had requested for pay obligation to be removed. How comes we still receive defaulter emails? As I mentioned earlier, when I was talking about the registration for, I think VAT, someone had just brought in an issue of the registration for VAT. I said, when you apply for the registration, you have to wait for KRA to give you communication that you have now officially been removed from that particular obligation. So my advice to you would be, if you've not yet received that particular communication from KRA, there was a tax number, a task number that you were given when you applied for this pay obligation to be removed. Just go with that particular task number to any tax office that is nearest to you, and you will be able to be told where that particular tax is. But please, as long as you've not received that particular communication, please continue filing your returns. Even if for your case, maybe you are not an employee, just file nil returns until that time we'll be able to remove you from the system. So you want to know procedure on how we can use the income tax and procedure on how we can use the income tax and exemption to receive the wheelchairs. Christine, I'm afraid the question is not very clear. Maybe if you have access to an audio, we can just unmute you so that you can ask the question, so that it's clear enough for us to give you the right position. So Christine, if you have an audio, just raise your hand so that we can ask our hosts to unmute you. There's a question whether TOT is 1% or 3% of sales. It is 1% of sales. It used to be 3%, but as of 21st of July 2020, it's 1% of the gross sales that you've made. Can this presentation be shared on KRA website and KRA Facebook? Yes, it can. As a matter of fact, if you go to our YouTube page, that is Stori Za Ushuru at KRA, Stori Za Ushuru, you'll be able to find it running on YouTube. If you go to our KRA TV, you'll find this presentation running, and we'll also share it on our website and also through our Facebook pages, just so that you'll be able to appreciate the information. We also promise to share the same information on our TikTok page, just so that you'll be able to appreciate and get this information and refer to them as and when you require to refer. So our TikTok page is Tax Education. Just visit it, and you'll be able to get not just this information, but plenty of other information that we have just put in place for you to be able to appreciate. So with that, I don't think there's any other question that I have not. Okay, there's a question. If one has a kiosk which typically pays TOT, and one also works with pay tax, then how does one register correctly? Because obviously a small kiosk cannot pay income tax, and of course one should not pay 3% on salaried income. Just a point of correction, the rate of turnover tax is 1% currently, and amongst the list that we said are exempted from turnover tax, we said are employees. So if you are an employee, you cannot register for turnover tax, meaning the amount that you get from the kiosk will be merged together with the amount that you get from your employment income, and then we now calculate the tax at a graduated scale. So if you've looked at your returns, you'll realize that the return has an array of options, and option number 1 is for you to give us your income from employment, and then also give us your income from the kiosk for this particular case, so your income for business. So if you are an employee, I repeat, you are exempt from registering for turnover tax. If I fall between that bracket and I file VAT monthly, can KRA use the monthly VAT return to penalize my business for not registering for turnover tax? We cannot use the VAT return to penalize your business. We will handle the VAT return just as VAT return. These are two separate tax obligations, and their rates are two separate things. So we cannot use your VAT return to penalize your business. But still, again, I encourage you, because I feel where you are coming from as our customers, and I know if we ask you to probably account for VAT, still ask you to account for TOT, still ask you to account for income tax, it can be a bit too much for you. And that is why I will repeat again and again, there is an option to opt out. Please just reach out to your nearest tax service office so that this can be sorted out and you avoid being penalized. So we will share the presentation, and we'll also to your email addresses, and we are also going to share along some feedback form just so that you can tell us which other areas you'd like us to address in future, and what areas of improvement we can make to make this experience even better. Also, if one owns a limited company which is on turnover tax due to low turnover, and one also works and have pay income, then the thought is on the corporation. Sorry, if one owns a limited company which is on turnover tax due to low turnover, and one also works and have pay income, then the thought is on the corporation and the pay is on the person. Is this true? Yes, because when it comes to limited companies, the limited company it's its own person, and it accounts for the return on its own, and the TOT is final. There is no way that a limited company will come in, and there's no way a limited company will be there's no way a limited company will be mixed with your individual employment company. So this is the correct position. So you will file the TOT for the corporation and file the pay for your employment income, only if it's a limited entity. But if it's a sole proprietor, then it is one and the same thing. So the total turnover, does it apply to one business or to an individual, assuming he has several business? The rule is one. If I am an individual, I'm using one PIN. So if you're using one PIN, if you're having several businesses and the PIN is one, it will apply to all your businesses. So you'll bring in all total amounts of you've made from all businesses together and account for the same. So there's the question again. So a charitable organization with a tax exemption and scheduled to receive wheelchairs donation from outside the country, what are the requirements and the procedures? So Christine, this one is involving both customs and domestic taxes. All you need to do is when you're importing, if you want to import this documentation, you need to be able to present the exemption to our customs personnel so that at least you'll be able to be granted that as well. So from the customs side, you need to alert them and let them know that you have an exemption, and they'll be able to grant you that exemption. We've spoken about that question has been repeated again. Can I continue with turnover tax if my turnover is 20 million? He said yes, because legally by law, you are within the threshold that has, you are within the threshold. So yes, you have the freedom to continue with turnover tax. So please upload the recording of the program today to YouTube as a video and share the link with us. I will confirm, even if you go to YouTube Stori Za Ushuru right now, you will find this recording going on, because on YouTube, you're also live on KRA TV. And it's going to remain there as long as you need that information. So please, after this, if you need to make reference, just go to Stori Za Ushuru at kra.go.ke and you'll be able to find this particular information. We've also promised to share the same on TikTok. If you prefer, TikTok is your preference, we'll also share the same through TikTok. We'll also share the same through your email address, because for us is for you to get this information and share it out as much as possible. So please write us a message to us. All the links, we cannot understand the names you say due to distortion on sound. Thank you so much for that feedback. So I'm just going to ask Dismas, our hosts, if you can just type in the links so that our participants will be able to just follow and know where we'll be able to type in the link for KRA TV, type in the link for TikTok, type in the link for Stori Za Ushuru YouTube page, so that they'll be able to follow this um, session. So Henry, you'd like to know what is the relationship between TOT and annual returns? How are they related? So we said for TOT, if you are registered for TOT, TOT is a final return. So yeah, it's a final tax, and you're expected to file it you're expected to file it monthly. So TOT ends there. So there is no relationship between TOT and annual tax return. TOT is final and it's accounted for at the end of every month. I appreciate the request to share the presentation, and we promise if you go and visit those areas that you're asking, you'll be able to find the same. So if a company has recently been appointed withholding VAT agents, do we also register for TOT? No, because now you are, we mentioned that anything to do with withholding automatically disqualifies you from registering for TOT. So for the virtue that it's withholding, then you are exempt from registering for TOT. Yes, if you are subject to withholding tax, can you be opted out so that you can register? If you are subjected to withholding tax, can you be opted out so that you can register for turnover tax? Unfortunately, no. You cannot opt out of withholding tax. You can only opt out of turnover tax. So that is not an option, Robert. So thank you so much for the feedback. So we do a presentation on installment tax. We will definitely do a presentation on installment tax. So we'll be typing in we'll be typing in the links. Please confirm if you've seen them. Yes, thank you, David, for confirming that you found Stori Za Ushuru on YouTube. Thank you. KRA TV, it's just KRA TV. So thank you so much. I think I have answered all the questions. I'm not seeing any more questions on the chat. Let me see if there's so there's a question on the Q&A, and on the Q&A you say, let's say if I've been filing and paying installment taxes, am I supposed to register for TOT? Installment taxes and TOT have no relationship. Installment taxes you pay when your tax regime, the annual one. So there is no relationship between the two. And what I'm picking from today's session is that we should try as much as possible to reach out to our account managers. Let them know, let them guide you, so that at least you know where exactly you are. And if you wish to drop either of the obligations, they can be able to guide you on how to get there. So hi, when is VAT claimed back? You can claim VAT back when you're filing your return. And when you're filing your return, you file your return, VAT, you file it by 20th of the next month. So if there's any input VAT that was charged, you are allowed to claim during that time. But we thank the law. The law is gracious. It gives you out up to 6 months. So in case there was a receipt that maybe you lost during that particular month, you have up to 6 months to be able to claim. So you have a maximum of 6 months to claim your VAT back when filing your VAT return. So I think that is so what if I know I know businesses that does not pay any type of tax? Can I report the same? And is there any remuneration? Yes, that will be tax evasion, and tax evasion was amongst the list of areas that we said. And we said if we realize and we establish that there is true, we said is 5% of the amount that we recovered will recover as taxes. So yes, that is your remuneration. Sorry, that will be a remuneration. So feel free to just talk to us and let us know about this. Yes. And just final clarification, you're asking, is turnover amount 1 million to 50 million? Yes, that is the current bracket for turnover tax. So with that, I think I'm going to take back the mic to our host for today. So Dismas, if you can take back the mic. Thank you.
Thank you, Corazon, for the presentation. I hope the taxpayers, the presentation have been beneficial and your question has been answered successfully. So we'll be having more other sessions and we'll be inviting you for more sessions so that you can be trained and get more information about tax. So as Corazon has told you, we have a TikTok channel. So it's just KRA Tax Education. When you go on TikTok, you'll find more information about anything on KRA, and we also have our YouTube channel. So thank you for having your time with us, and may you have a blessed evening.